was a time when this was the greatest game I had ever played. I showed it to my buddies, I made my cousin borrow it. I even told my friend's brother that it was better than Gears of War. Turns out, it was trash. It all started with a trip to Blockbuster. And not the fun kind where your parents let you browse for an hour like a connoisseur. The 5-minute warning, pick one or we're leaving kind of trip. The carpet smelled like crushed Skittles and GameCube controller sweat. And the air, 80% dust and 20% popcorn breath. And the guy behind the counter said that your Crash Bandicoot t-shirt was fake even though you got it from a real gas station. And you were about to make the most important decision of your entire middle school life. You panic and frantically grab Transtormers off the shelf, go home and pop it in your PlayStation 2. And your brain just melts. It didn't just impress you, it rewired your personality. You walked out of your living room a man. A man that still had to ask his mom to buy more pizza rolls, but a man nonetheless. You didn't just see a film, you saw destiny. So what did you do? You called your cousin because he had the video game. And it was better than you ever imagined. All of your favorite characters were playable. You thought the graphics were basically just the movie, but with buttons. And Blackout instantly became your favorite villain, simply because he was so cool in the game. Greatness was upon you. And one of the biggest things was you could transform in real time. One button, you're a car. Hit the same button again and you're a robot. To a 13-year-old boy from Georgia, it was black magic. It felt massive. The combat had weight. You weren't just fighting Decepticons, you were trying to write robot history. I told everybody, friends, family, probably a few strangers at Golden Corral. But now, I boot it back up and it feels like someone stapled a tech demo to a Game Shark code that went way too far. Bland missions, recycled enemies, controls looser than your grandma's dentures on a roller coaster. And to most of the critics, yeah, they were not too kind. Another summer blockbuster, another crappy game. As far as summer movie licensed video games go, Transformers is sadly one of the worst we've seen this year. While the movie stands, the video game most definitely falls. But 13-year-old me, I didn't care about reviews. I was too busy blowing stuff up in parking lots and transforming in real time. I thought this was the future of gaming. And honestly, back then, maybe it was. And that was not our last trip to Blockbuster. On the next one, me and my buddies picked up a game that made the Transformers game look like a masterpiece. The Iron Man movie had just dropped on DVD and we were hyped out of our minds. Still quoting lines, still pretending to fly around the house. Thinking that we were built different because we practiced our superhero landings on the trampoline. My friend's mom let us pick one game, just one, and we picked Iron Man because we were idiots with good hearts. We got at home and started blasting repulsors, then realized this game had one job: to be awesomely fun. And for a moment, it was. And the graphics were lifelike, same way a wax figure at a thrift store is lifelike. The story didn't matter. I was motherfreaking Iron Man. The controls, they felt new. They felt fresh. We had never controlled a character that felt this good to fly. That night, we didn't just play Iron Man. We became Iron Man for like 15 minutes. And then the difficulty kicked in, and it did not care that we were wee little children. It humbled us so fast. But still, I remember laying on that stained carpet floor, eyes open and heart full, thinking, this is it. This is the dream. And in that moment, it kind of was. I wasn't seeing flaws. I was seeing flying around and having fun. Years later, I looked it up online and it wasn't good. IGN said you never feel like Iron Man in this game, and if you're like me, you never feel like you're having fun. And one user said it's not the worst game I've played, and it's certainly not the best. It's just about bearable. And yeah, they weren't wrong. Not really. The game was rough and busted. But back then, I didn't care. I was flying around. And sometimes that's all you really need. This next part is totally fake. No sponsorships, no approval, just pure nonsense. Please do not call your doctor. Sometimes the world feels too real. Sometimes it feels like it's pretending to be you. That's why there's Snorbexa. the only prescription drug designed to help you feel something adjacent to okay. Ask your doctor if Snorbexa is right for you. Snorbexa, clarity with acceptable side effects. For my 14th birthday, my parents surprised me with a PS3, which, side note, I thought I was getting a PSP. Then they dropped an entire PlayStation 3 console on the kitchen table like it was nothing. And just like that, my childhood ended and my teenage years were booting up. I looked at that system like it came with the answers to life. So a couple of days later, I did what any mindless 14-year-old would do, and I marched into GameStop with stacks on stacks of PlayStation 2 games like I was about to make a down payment on my future. One of the first games that I got for my newly acquired next-gen console. Back then, I thought it was a masterpiece. BlackSite Area 51, aliens, explosions, a whole squad that kinda listened to you if you squinted hard enough. I played it for days, stayed up late, schoolwork was on the bench that week. I thought the plot was deep. I thought the aliens were creepy and weird, all in the right ways. I loved it so much that I let my friend borrow it, and I told him, dude, this is the real deal. He brought it back and said, it's alright. Alright? I understood at that point what betrayal felt like. This dude looked me in the eyes and said that one of my favorite games was just fine. And a few years later, I decided to revisit it, and honestly, the guns still sound beefy and the aliens are, well, they're there. But about 3 levels in, I paused the game and asked myself a question that no one should ever ask mid-nostalgia trip. I wonder what other people think about this game. The reviews weren't terrible, just an ocean of 5 and 6s out of 10s. Kind of scores that say, hey, it exists. Then I found this user review that pretty much sums up the entire vibe. Here are some questions to consider. Have you played Gears of War and thought it would work well if it was a military first-person shooter instead? Do you like mediocrity? Can you settle for average? Can you cope with bad programming? Have you played every other shooter you can think of and still want more, regardless of quality? BlackSite is the game. What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Big Hoss. And I'm here to tell you that BlackSite Area 51 is one of the best shooters of all time. You little gamer boys wouldn't understand. That game came out right after the golden era. Back when Mountain Dew still had a bite and GameStop didn't smell like a dehydrated 4-year-old just peed in the corner and then they just Febrezed over it. You didn't play BlackSite to have fun. You played it to learn the truth. And that shotgun, it didn't kick back, it held a grudge. And the alien AI was buggy? Yeah, whatever, so am I. I'm still kicking. Don't even get me started on the lore, alright? I've been trying to tell my cousin Ricky for 14 years now. That game is based on a true story. My buddy Lenny, he worked at Area 52. That's the real one. The place where they keep the extra messed up aliens and discontinued Taco Bell sauces. Give me my fire roasted packets back. Lenny told me one of them could smell fear and Bluetooth signals. And y'all better not even try to remake that game now. You'd end up with some battle royale TikTok crossover with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as a pre-order bonus. Psst, I'm heading out before I say something to get me banned from the VA and the flea market. A couple months before I got my PS3, my mom brought home the Mission Impossible game for PS2. Y'all, I loved this game. I didn't even know what stealth was back then, and suddenly I'm crawling through vents and choking out guards like a discounted Sam Fisher on a food stamp budget. The gadgets had me feeling like James Bond if he bought all of his spy gear from a SkyMall catalog. Was it clunky? Yeah. Did the AI act like it was operating off NyQuil and gas fumes? Absolutely. But back then, I was locked in. Every level felt like I was defusing a bomb using only my heart rate and childhood confidence. It wasn't just a game for me, it was a mission. The music was intense, the gameplay felt magical. The graphics looked like real life if you squinted and had never seen real life before. I beat it over and over, each time thinking, man, this is the coolest game ever made. I thought it was a hidden masterpiece. I thought I had uncovered something important. So yet again, years later, I go online, ready to find all the other lifelong fans, but all I found were people calling it mid, forgettable, and clunky. One guy said something like, this game plays like it's mad at you. And maybe they're right, maybe it hasn't aged well. It wasn't the greatest game or anything, but for a couple weeks in 2008, it made me feel like the coolest kid on earth. And back then, that's really all that mattered. Up next is another fake ad with a real phone number. Call it if you're feeling brave or bored, or if you're just really into 80s music. This is an important message for the users of the drug Snorbexa. On July 1st, the smallest prescription drug recall in history was issued for Snorbexa. If you or a loved one took Snorbexa and began experiencing vivid hallucinations of people you've never met, a strong urge to whisper in public restrooms, or an emotional attachment to intimate objects, you may be entitled to financial compensation. You need to act now and reserve your legal rights. The Law Office of Ron Wexley and family know how to make companies like Snorbexa pay for their mistakes. Call us now at 719-266-2837. Again, that's 719-266-2837. Snorbexa knew, and now it's time for them to pay. And the last game we'll look at is Eat Lead, a game so funny to 15-year-old me that I just assumed it was the smartest thing ever made. This was meta before I even knew what meta meant. It was goofy, it broke the fourth wall, it had jokes at the time that felt genius. But going back now, it's like someone tried to write a comedy script with a mouthful of drywall. I didn't just play this game, I was spreading the good word. I was cold calling people on my Motorola rival like it was multi-level marketing for Matt Hazard. I remember it being clever and witty, almost like the game knew something that I didn't. Turns out what it knew was how to barely function. The humor was kind of cringe. The gameplay, mid. Graphics looked like they rendered the cutscenes on a gas station security camera. But still, I laughed so hard that I built an entire memory around it. And sometimes that's all that it takes, is one weekend, one really dumb game, and one laugh that you really needed at the time. And when I looked it up years later thinking it was some underrated cult classic, nope, it wasn't. The critics hated it, and a lot of the user reviews were pretty brutal. Some reviews even joked that the slow-mo kill moves feel like you're dying in slow motion in real life. But for me, I didn't care, because at 15 I wasn't looking for polish and pacing, I was looking for joy. And somehow Eat Lead gave me that, even if it aged like milk on a radiator. So yeah, maybe these games aren't that great, maybe they didn't age well, or maybe they just weren't meant to be remembered. Because when you're a kid, you don't care about the frame rates or the review scores or the polygon counts. You care about vibes. You care about the way it felt to pull off that one cool move, or the way the soundtrack made you feel like you were doing something important. Even if you were just mashing buttons in your cousin's living room, dodging homework, and drinking a warm Capri Sun. I look back now, and sure, the critics were brutal, and the user reviews weren't much better, but in my childlike eyes, these games were perfect. Because back then, I wasn't looking for flaws, I was looking for fun, and these games delivered. Even if some of them were just delivering the fun at 12 frames a second. But honestly, back then, that was more than enough. If you are here and still watching, thank you. You get to see my room. I'm almost undone packing. I'm almost undone. I'm almost done unpacking. Whoa. Look at all this stuff. Oh my. It's way too much. There's still boxes everywhere. Okay, we're gonna center it back up. Yeah. Anyways, thanks for watching. YouTube will pop up a video in the corner that it thinks that you will like the most out of my previous videos. Some of them are really bad. Anyways, thanks for watching again, and we'll see y'all next week.